when you look at the escalating trade war between the U.S. and China, what do we commonly misunderstand about China? Is China trying to save face? Can they actually impose more tariffs on the U.S.? Or is this a kind of like, tit for tat?
Well, China is altering a bit its strategies compared to before. It appears that appearing too eager to want to get a deal done and too quickly and making too many concessions has not worked when dealing with President Trump. So their strategy for now is to play it cool, wait and see if the U.S. economy sufficiently hurt that President Trump is very interested in making a deal, then it would act.
Okay, what does China need to make a deal?
Well, first of all, kind of being convinced that there is true, genuine interest, that there will be no changes, kind of swift changes in mind. They need to be convinced that the U.S. has a very firm stance. And of course, we don't know what goes on on the negotiation table, but that is kind of confidence is very important.
Professor, you are an exceptional student of what's going on in Beijing, and particularly what's going on among the authorities of the federal government. What's the nuance or distinction that you see that we should be observing right now of the leadership of China?
The leadership of China believes that they should learn from the mistakes, well, the so-called mistakes of Japan. They believe that the Japanese experience, very much similar to what's going on between China and U.S. today, the fact that, they conceded to Plaza Accord, appreciated their currency, and even limited their own exports was a harbinger for decades of lost growth. China does not want to repeat that mistake, so that is very much in the mindset of the leadership.
Was there a productive set of meetings 200 miles east of Beijing on the shores of the Pacific, or was that a sideshow for President Xi?
It happens every year. It's a national secret. Who knows? But I think, they have a united front outward.
Keyu, when it comes to the depreciation or the wild move swing in yuan, was this a warning shot from China? How should investors be interpreting it?
Well, just a couple of years ago, there was a massive scare about a further depreciation in capital outflows. So the Chinese economy is slowing down. So you were going to see that as a symptom, a depreciation of the exchange rate. And of course, the trade war has not helped. And it's also partly a market reaction to increases in tariffs. So I wouldn't really quite categorize this as a manipulation of the currency. It's very dangerous to go down that route, because not only are we going to talk about currency wars, but also maybe investment wars and tech wars and all of that. So I think it's just a market reaction. We need to be cognizant of that.
Willem, are we in a currency war now? Were we in a trade war now? Currency war, or is it just the beginning that we could find an elegant way out?
I think the currency is depreciating because of the slowdown in the global economy that you're seeing, and because it's more the market feels it's more difficult to see potentially a quick resolution, and therefore a quick change in the speed of the manufacturing around the world. So as you continue to see that slowdown, the U.S. dollar appreciates. So it's in part also, sometimes people forget, it's in part a U.S. dollar story. People go into the U.S. dollar as a safe haven. They go into the U.S. dollar because that's where you still get the yields relative to other currencies.
Willem, what do we see in the short paper market? Not only the traditional LIBOR market, the Shanghai LIBOR, SHIBOR, and the others, but what does HSBC in the short paper market that is an indicator of stability or instability?
Well, not really a big message there. I would say. I think basically a lot of what is happening in the short paper market is driven by the expectations of the interest rates, and so therefore obviously around the world we see central banks cutting, driven by the more dovish message from the Fed, which allows a lot of the emerging market banks to cut as well, and we think that will continue that process.
Willem, what are you going to write into the weekend? I mean, it's only Tuesday, and we've already reached through August exhaustion here. Are you thinking of a portfolio reallocation away from China, away from emerging market investment, back to the U.S.? Or again, is it an opportunity within what we observe on this August Tuesday?
So we're not yet buying the dip at this point in time. We have that neutral allocation, but with a very defensive implementation. I think you always need to couple your allocation with, how do you implement it, and that's one message that you have to take together. We have a little bit more cash than usual, which we can put at work if there is, a signal somewhere to give us that trigger. But for the moment, I think there is probably still also, some technical stuff going on where people, where that exacerbates some of the moves. So therefore, we're not yet stepping in at this point.